You'll be fine. Hi, this is Marguerite Tonery, and this is Marielle, who is with me today. And Marielle has come from France, and she would like to interview me regarding everything. I think this is quite a comprehensive interview. There's 16 questions on this interview, so sit back and enjoy it. So Marielle, you have the floor.
Thank you. So you're an author and you wrote books called Kapheus for teenagers. So can you tell us more about the story?
Okay, well, the Kapheus series is a book that's for 8 years plus, 8-year-olds onwards, and with each book the characters grow up and the children grow up, so 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11 and so on. So the new book, Kapheus Spirit, is really a pre-teen, about 12-year-olds at this stage. What these books are about, they're about a brother and a sister called Eliza and Jamie, and they are from Éire, or Ireland, and they enter this fantastical world of light called Kapheus, and in there they meet all the Irish the creatures and personalities of Irish myth and legends. So they meet the leprechauns and the fairies, and then we have the goddesses of Éire, or the goddess of Ireland, and we have lots of funny little quirky characters that would be synonymous with Ireland, and all the myths and legends that are synonymous with Ireland. And there's a modern twist to it, because they are from modern Ireland and they're going into the old or the ancient place that holds the traditions, culture and the language of Ireland until Ireland are ready to reclaim them. So there's this kind of tug of war between the two places. And there the children learn that they're on a mission to discover what they were born to be. Whether they like it or not, they're being propelled in a particular direction to find out what it is they were born to be. So that's what the books are about.
And where do you find the inspiration? Is it a kind of flash, or do you have already the idea which grown up?
Well, growing up in Ireland, you're surrounded by the mythology, you're surrounded by storytelling. We're fantastic for storytelling in this country. So when I was a child, my father used to sit us all, I have 6 siblings, so 5 brothers and a sister, and he used to put us together around the fireside in the evening time and tell us stories about ghosts and banshee and the leprechauns and all of the fairies. So they were there, the stories are there, and now they've taken a twist. You get to see in more depth the personalities of the leprechauns, or the things the fairies get up to that the elves don't get up to, and all of these things. And the Irish woodlands are brought into the stories. Landscape of Ireland, you have the Aran Islands, Cliffs of Moher, Dúnaingasa, you have all of you have the Hill of Tara, all the landscape of Ireland. So it's all there, and the myths are there, and it's just then after that, it's just a pleasure to write them. It's just fun all the way.
So if we go back in time, Kapheus is ready in your mind. When did you say, okay, let's go, I have to publish it? Or maybe you said, I'm too shy, it's too personal.
Yeah, well, it was a bit of both. I wrote it really quickly. The first book, Kapheus Earth, I wrote in 5 weeks, and it was kind of, I suppose it may have been there my whole life, ready to grow, and I just wrote it. And then I thought it would be just a story that I would give to children that I knew, but it wasn't that short. It became the size of a manuscript or a book, and I thought, what will I do with it? And then I thought, maybe I'll send it to publishers and see what they think. And I sent it. I don't think I did send it to publishers, but I heard stories and I looked up the internet that it takes forever with publishers. So I decided. It was sitting on my laptop and in my documents, and then I looked at it a year later, and then went back, and then I looked at it a year after that, and I just thought, oh God, just bite the bullet. It's now or never. So I just decided to put it out there, Kapheus Earth. I got in touch. I scanned the internet, Google, for images, and I found illustrations by David T. Wenzel, and he's the man who illustrated The Hobbit. And then I found his email address, and I said to him, is there any chance you would illustrate the cover of my first book, Kapheus Earth, and he said it doesn't exactly work like that. It has to pass through my agent. And I said, oh no, how long is that going to take? And he said, well, I'll ask her to read it tonight and get back to you tomorrow. So she read Kapheus Earth that night, came back to me the following morning and said, yeah, it's good enough for David to illustrate it. So David Wenzel illustrated the cover of the Kapheus Earth, and then it just became a book. Then I had it printed and it became a book, and all of a sudden here I was as a self-published author with a book and not knowing what I will do next, how do you get it into bookshops and all of those different things. And it was a steep learning curve, but I loved every minute of it. And the children loved the book, so they wanted the second one and the third one and the fourth one, and now the fifth one.
And what was your state of mind when Kapheus was available on sale?
My state of mind, as it is with every book, you don't want to be close to me when a book, when the book goes to print, I'm a nervous wreck. And when the book, the most nerve-wracking moment for me is when I stand in front of children in a school and I read from my story, because the children are great. They will tell you if they hate something. So it's the most nerve-wracking moment, because it's that time where you read from your book and you think, will they like it? Is it good enough? And I haven't had any bad reviews from any children yet. They've loved it. Loved each one of the books as I've stood in schools and read from the Kapheus series. So it's nerve-wracking. I find it very nerve-wracking, because with every book you are bearing your soul. You're just putting all of you onto a page, and you're saying to the world, judge me at will. Which is scary, yeah.
And to be honest, every offers expect a success like J.K. Rowling, or not?
There are a lot of authors who expect to be very successful, like J.K. Rowling, from their first book. We all want to succeed. Every author wants to succeed, because if you love writing, you want to be in a position where you just write. You don't have to have another career as well as writing. But there are quality books that haven't had the exposure, and often it's the case of, how do you get the exposure? How do I get it onto the Late Late Toy Show? I was very lucky. Kapheus airs on the Late Late Toy Show bookshelf. I've been on radio stations. I've been a number of places. It's work. You go out and you meet the children where they are, you meet the parents where they are, and you sell your book, and you get into bookshops and you sell and you promote your books. So there's a lot where authors think that once I have it written and it's published, then that's it. I'm fine, it'll succeed. But the work only starts at that point. Then you have to tell the world that you have the book, and you have to make sure the world knows, and that they don't forget you. So you can have a really good book, a really high quality, fantastic fantasy adventure story, and unless the world knows it's here, it will be lost. So it's about advertising, promoting, letting people know that you have it. So yeah.
Today you have created Tribes Press, a company of self-publishing press. Could you tell us more about it? Have you created this company because you met some difficulties to publish your own book, maybe? No,
I suppose I am a business person as well as an artist. There are not many artists who are business people. So I have two sides to my brain. I have that real business side to my brain where I think business-like, and then I have the other side to my brain where it's filled with imagination and fun and frolics and everything childlike. So I'm able to kind of work out of either or. I created Tribes Press. When I published my first book, Kapheus Earth, I didn't know if it would succeed, but children wanted more, so I wrote the second book, and that was published, and then the third book, and it just takes off. It just starts rolling and snowballing, and you're like, wow, I didn't think this would happen. And then you meet a lot of people where you're in situations where traditional publishers the contracts can be very tough on authors. They can earn very little from their books, and it can be very hard for them. So I've thought, it's scary. It's really scary. The learning curve is very steep, and I think that you can't do it on your own, unless you really you have an incredible work ethic. I have an incredible work ethic. I know that, and you have a business head, and not all writers will have that. So I decided, let's tip the balance a little bit in favour of the authors. It is possible to have a company to help you to edit, to proofread, to see where the errors that you can't see, the blind spots in your writing or your characters or whatever, and then to be able to say, oh, we have a designer here who will design this, or an illustrator who will, and put the whole package together and then put it into the market. If it's very hard to do that on your own, so it's great to have some company to do that for you. So I decided I'd set up Tribes Press because of that, because I thought I met so many people who wanted to publish their book, but there's so many delays with traditional publishers. It took 2 years maybe to get even a response, and maybe they would get a response or not. And then you have the other side of it is the book nearly had to be in pristine condition, had to be there, ready, before the publisher would take it. And not many books are, especially if you're a first time author. There's a lot of things that you have to still learn about your craft. So Tribes Press, I created Tribes Press around helping authors to get it to that really high level. And then if they want to produce a book with us, they can. So that's what we did.
And with your experience, what are the main difficulties for writers? Is it about the writing style? Is it about the story itself?
I think the main difficulties can be, the main difficulty in any script can be the dialogue. Is sometimes writers, often it's the case that they can, when you speak in the words of a character, that character, if a writer didn't write said Tommy, that the reader needs or should be able to know that it's Tommy who said it. And dialogue can be quite difficult for authors. They just have to get into the way that character. Everybody talks differently. Like you speak differently to me, and everybody we meet speaks differently because they have their own way of describing things, and that's what makes us great. And then to get that in dialogue when they're speaking in the book, that can be tough for authors. They can find that difficult. But it's often the author that thinks they are phenomenal that need the most help, and yet the author that is really unassuming, lacking confidence, doesn't know if they should or they shouldn't produce a book, are usually incredible writers. So it's it can be.
You must find the balance.
Yeah, it's hard to find that. Yeah.
If you have to define the mission of Tribes Press in one word, what would it be?
The mission of Tribes Press in one word.
Yes.
One word. Success.
It's okay. And if I were an author, why should I come knocking at your door?
Oh, if you were an author, why should you come knocking at my door? If you're an author and you have a manuscript and you want to get that manuscript, whether it's a picture book and you have a little story that you want to produce into a beautiful book, whether it's a poetry book and you want the poetry book to come to life, or fiction, whether it's mine is fantasy adventure or adult fiction, adult non-fiction, whatever it is. If you have an idea, if you have a story, come in the door, at least come in and talk, and let's see what we can do. Because I think for me it's I don't want to live a life of regrets. I want to, if this is a dream, if I'm passionate about this, if this keeps nagging and nagging and nagging, then you just have to do it. You just have to bite the bullet, seize the moment, be courageous, walk through the door. It's not that bad.
At least try.
Try, yeah. Give it a go. You never know.
And how do you find the balance between your artistic sensibility and the professional aspect when you help authors? I mean, some aspects are strictly artistic, and some others have to be directed by a professional.
Yeah.
You are both
of
that. How do you combine these two aspects in you?
Well, I love to see authors come in because I know what it's like to be an author. I know how scary it is. I know I love to help people, and I love to see something come to life. You know, I love everybody to have a chance and to give them the best chance, and to see something like as simple as a story actually become a real thing, a reality, and beautiful pictures, illustrations. It's my artistic side. It's that sees the final product. So when a person shows me a manuscript, I see the final product. I see the book. And it's my business side to say, well, I now see it. I have a vision for this story. I have a vision that is sublime, because the artistic side, the imagination comes to mind and say, oh wow, this could be this. You know, this could be phenomenal, non-fiction, fiction, whatever it is. And this can be amazing. And then my business head clicks into gear and say, well, I have this amazing vision for this person's story. How can we make this happen? So I talk to my designers, my editors, my proofreaders, my illustrators, and I say, let's all come together as a team. We have this story. Let's make this happen. And that's how they marry very well, because the imagination gives the vision, and then the business head gives the fruition of that vision.
And if the writer have not the same point of view like you?
Well, I don't feel that we've never had that situation really. Will you have it every now and again where an author says, no, I prefer this? They're entitled to prefer something, you know, it's their book. There's some parts where we need where it needs a lot of editing, and you explain to the author that if you modify this here, then this can happen. And then when they modify it, they see the improvement and they go, oh God, yeah, that's really good. I didn't think that would happen. And so it's usually we're always improving the manuscript, so the author can say, oh yeah, that really does look a lot better now. Yeah. Okay. So.
And how many authors have you helped since the beginning of Tribes Press?
Tribes Press is a year in operation. I'm 5 years with my own books. But let me think, how many authors? I suppose we've helped. I think we've 11 published books, but we have helped 30 or so authors. Some authors just come and they'd like an editorial assessment where they have a story and they'd like us just to assess it. And then they get a review, and we go through, our editors assess it, and they get feedback on that story, and then they have taken that away, and it may take them a year, maybe 2 years to finish it, and then they may come back to us then. So there are a number of those. And then you have people there, we have the completed book there for them, but they haven't gone to publish, to print it, and the reason for that is that they want to just have it for their family, or things like that, you know. So we've had a few of those authors that have come in, and others that have had their books proofread, and now they don't want to come out for this coming year, this Christmas. They want to come out for next spring. Okay. So, you know, there's books in transition all the time.
And are you specialized in a certain kind of book, like children literature, fiction, thriller, or you welcome every style?
We welcome most styles. We fiction perfectly, non-fiction, fantastic. We are not specialized in academic books or like scientific books, mathematics or anything like that. That's a very different speciality. So we don't even attempt to go down that road. There are other publishers who do that, but we do fiction, non-fiction, poetry. We do a number of different types of books, yeah.
And do you think everybody has a story to tell?
Everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has many stories to tell. Yeah, I do believe that everybody has everybody has a story inside them.
And last question, how do you see Tribes Press in 10 years?
In 10 years' time, I see Tribes Press as being in a position to employ a number of illustrators, designers and staff from across Europe. I would like that to happen. And we have you're from France, Claudia's from Germany, Chloe's from the UK, Mackenzie is from the US. So we have quite a mix of members of our team. Mary Judy is from the US, but she's living in Ireland for a long time now, or one of our editors. We have people from all over the world really, and Canadian illustrators as well. I want to keep that going. I want people not just Irish but European, worldwide. I want to be in a position to have staff from different places, because everybody gives something. Their cultures are so rich that every piece of culture adds to the quality of our final product. So we want to have all of that. Yeah.
I wish you the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the interview.